once he gets it rolling, he will get it rolling for Taipei Assassins. So I think Saigon Jokers, they are aware of that fact, but having this pseudo pick composition coming in from themselves, they will definitely need to secure some early kills right from level 1. As we do see, they might go for a cheese strategy for this one, just 5 members gathering up in the top lane.
So we saw last game, TPA grouped up in a single brush while Saigon Jokers split around. Now, the exact opposite is taking place. The Death Sentence will not hit anyone as Archie is going to try and run away. The axe does connect though, they might be able to chain slow him.
Right, and he has to flash away from the cocoon as well, so one summoner's down and a minor victory for Saigon Jokers. But because of that, Taipei Assassins now, they do know the position of all 5 members of Saigon Jokers. That will allow some space for Jay to plant down this ward very, very quickly on the end to kind of just spot out the position and the starting buffs for
Stinter. Well, very, very well. He took the off very early on with a delayed invade coming in from the Azubu Taipei Assassins. Now, he's playing a weaker early game jungler compared to Olaf against a very strong early game jungler being Elise. So he has to be a bit more safe than he was before. 2 wards placed down by Thresh into the red buff area of the Azubu Taipei Assassins jungler. As you see, Optimus gets some little bit of poke damage down to Morning right before the laning phase starts.
Right, so between both mid laners, they are going back for what they did in game number 1. And even though Morning has kind of mechanically shown that he has been the better player in lane, just because in a straight 1v1 matchup, he managed to pick up a solo kill up against Optimus. But Optimus is not doing too bad himself. He has managed to kind of keep farm, especially in game number 1, even though he did go down. Right from the start, right at the very beginning, he was able to kind of zone out Morning and maintain that lead. The problem with Optimus just at this point in time is that he hasn't found the opening that he really performed with, especially in the group stages, to just pull off those game-changing shockwaves that he has kind of shown in the previous matchups.
So a little bit of mind games coming out from the Super Taipei Assassins there. We saw that Jax was spotted in the tri-brush up in the top lane. Right away, they swapped this one around. They put BB and J up in the top lane. QTB walked all the way up to top lane, recalled, and then went straight down to bottom lane. And we saw the AD carry as support for the side of the Saigon Jokers. Also recalled. Not recalled, sorry. They actually walked straight up to top lane. And Jax is recalling already. So we might even see another lane swap, which we will see. Azubu Taipei Assassins really do not want Jax to be going up against this Olaf lane, or really do not want BB on Vayne and Jay on Karma to go up against Lucian and Thresh in a 2-on-2 matchup.
Right, and I would say that decision is pretty much very rational, because given the sense that BB playing on the Vayne, you really want to get him rolling in the early stages, at least pre-level 6, because just between Lucian and Thresh, you can put down a lot of hurt, especially if you are playing Vayne. And for BB, he wants to just farm comfortably, make sure that he has that few items up before he transitions into the mid-game stage. And not only that, QTV playing that Olaf down in the solo lane, the off laner as well. The matter of fact is that we have seen, some people, they have compared Olaf and Jax up in the top lane. They say that Olaf kind of will win post level 6 just because you have that Ragnarok that will stop the counter strike as well. So it kind of just cancels away one of the most effective initiation for Jax in the most part.
Bear in mind, Olaf is not a bad 1-on-2 laner. He does fairly well being able to throw axes out, and we already see Safety being very aggressive against Dinter. Dinter jumps in onto the spider.
Right, and now Archie might be looking to jump into the fray as well, and it does look like Safety has to repel, and Junie now catching Archie with the death sentence, but no follow-up just of yet. But, just the presence being felt from both ends. The junglers up in the top lane, so it will be a 3-on-2 match up. And just like Saigon Jokers want to go for this early lead, and we see now Dinter taking a whole lot of damage from the combined efforts of Junie as well as Archie.
Morning once again taking a ton of damage. Optimus playing that one out very smart. Might be able to take him down. His Ignite is available, as we see Morning has to flash away from the gauge coming in from Optimus. And once again, now Saigon Jokers, they're responding to the switch coming out from the Azubu Taipei Assassins very well. If they continued following the movements that Azubu Taipei Assassins were making, they would eventually lose out in terms of lane, because Azubu TPA would be able to control both the flow of the minions in the top and bottom lane. But by staying after one swap, they are now able to control the waves of the minions. So you can see Olaf's doing fairly well against this bot lane duo, while Archie already needs the help of Dinter to stay alive up in this top lane, and the bot lane tower for the Saigon Jokers is not fairly low.
Like compare that up in the top lane, and there we go now. Archie getting caught out with the death sentence and being flayed right back into it as well. It does look like Saigon Jokers really wants to put some hurt up into the top lane. So if this siege continues, I would say Saigon Jokers will have the upper hand to take up the top lane turret first before BB and J does down in the bottom lane. And it's just the effect, like you mentioned before, QTV is not playing a, 1v2 wise, Olaf is not going to be too bad at all.
And look at this, Olaf started with a Doran's Blade, and he has not been pushed out of lane just yet. That shows how well he's doing, and Junie needs to stop hitting these death sentences, because sooner or later, he's going to decimate someone with one of those. He's been on point with those death sentences, besides the first one into the tri-brush early on in the game.
Right, and it's almost like revenge as well, because the last time that we see a fresh matchup against Taipei Assassins, we know for a fact that Taipei Assassins, they are quite familiar with the death sentence mechanic as well, and I'm quite impressed with what Junie has done so far. Applying pressure with the death sentence, and just like this time around, Archie and Junie, they might be at the losing end here, because BB and J now has put on quite a lot of damage on this bottom lane turret, and a surprising turn of event as well, because it does look like Safety would want to back out QTV instead, and I'm not too sure if I agree with this decision here.
They might be able to fight this one out. QTV is 2 levels ahead of both BB and J. With the help coming in from Safety, they might be able to shut down someone on Azubu Taipei Assassin, but unfortunately, QTV gets shut down first.
Right, and it does look like the cocoon will not land as well, as BB flashes right off there. And actually, we do have the first blood with the aid of Optimus as well, so showing his presence, and I think that's a pretty good start for Saigon Jokers as compared to last game. And they, like we mentioned before, they need to get their game rolling, and if they are able to do that, maintain this lane controls, then definitely they will be able to kind of transit better into the mid game, and that's when their pseudo pick and pseudo AoE composition will start to shine.
So QTP popped his Ghost, but not his Ragnarok when he tried to chase down BB, so he was able to be condemned back towards the tower. We saw the flash coming in from Safety, was not able to land the Cocoon, but Optimus coming up for the Safety gank was enough to take down one member of the Azubu Taipei Assassin down in the bottom lane. It's going to be interesting to see what they do to capitalize on this small victory they achieved down at the bottom lane. We saw Safety was able to pick up the kill there as well.
Right, so we will go into a replay soon of what happened down the bottom lane. So Optimus just walking right up into both of them and just melting him down together with the compression. So the combined damage of that 3-man gang was quite sufficient to take down Jay in the process.
Once again, we're going to see this lane swap continue for Azubu Taipei Assassins. They were the one that initiated the lane swap, and also forced it once again when they saw that Saigon Jokers were trying to stop them from getting the lane matchup that they wanted. They continue to keep pressure on this 2-on-1 lane. QTV will finally be heading back to base. He's been doing very well in this 2-on-1 lane, has a significant minion score ahead of Archie up in the top lane. However, since Safety was helping out Archie and Junie, the dual lane, against the Jax lane, we can see there's a significant minion score advantage going for Dinter on Vi compared to Safety on Elise.
Right, once again, up in the top lane, we do have that small exchange for the Archie on Archie action, but does look like Archie on Jax will back off to get some items for himself, and slowly climbing back to this one, choosing to go for the Vampiric Scepter and the Ruby Crystal as well. So it just goes to show that he really just wants to stay lane and farm up as much as he can, and once again be that split pushing menace that Taipei Assassins desperately need.
This tower would definitely be going down for the Saigon Jokers. This or the next push for sure, unless Saigon Jokers can make a smart play. And you can already, BB and J don't want to go too close to this tower of the Saigon Jokers, just because ate for it early on, and Elise is nearby to try and stop them once again. Morning, however, doing a good job of keeping Optimus in check, not allowing him to roam down to the bottom lane as he did before.
Right now, Safety and QTV just hanging on to their life for this turret at this point of time. And they're just buying time for Archie and Junie up in this top lane, as we have a pause here. Might be a technical error once again. So what do you make of the game so far? Apart from that one kill, that one first blood that we saw down the bottom lane, I would say across the board it's still pretty much even. And yeah, sorry.
So far it's completely even between the two teams. I mean, We saw that Optimus is doing well in the mid lane, was able to bully Morning early on. He is losing in terms of minion score, but was able to push Morning out of lane, helped out with a gank down at the bottom lane, but nothing decisive between the two teams has taken place.
Right, I think both teams are just contented just farming up because I think they know for a fact that the mid-game stage will be the deciding factor. And now we do see Junior and Archie moving down to the mid lane once they knew for a fact that Archie will not be following up onto that one. I think the next area of contention might be the Dragon.
So we're going to see Azubu Taipei as they do go for this Dragon. They're going to start it early on with only 2 members. Now Thresh is walking down. They do know that they have started on this Dragon buff, but they don't have the smite available to pick it up just yet. We're going to see Juni wanted to go in and blaze air and does absolutely nothing as Azubu Taipei Assassins pick up a Dragon for free there along with the bot lane tower. So good rotations coming in from both teams. It's just that Saigon Jokers were not quick enough to get down to contest the Dragon.
You could say it was a misplay from Juni as well. But this time around, Saigon Jokers, they want to make work and respond to this, but Morning with the quick decision to use the explosive cast to clear out the wave. So Saigon Jokers will be delayed for just a little bit further, but with 3 men down into the mid lane, it feels like Saigon Jokers should be able to take out this first tier turret with ease.
I like this rotation coming in from SAJ just because they did lose the Dragon buff there. A nice rotation to the mid lane allows them to even up the score slightly. They are still about 300 gold behind the Azubu Taipei Assassins, but 300 gold is not much in League of Legends. Between 2 teams, that is. So picking up an objective for an objective is a fair trade for the Saigon Jokers.
So we start to see the item difference coming in for both teams, especially between he has to pop both the Ragnarok as well as he goes to get off that one as he spots Dinter coming into the area. So Summoner's down as well as the ultimate. So if Dinter follows it up with the Assault Battery, we might see QTV go down the process. But now it does look like Archie will be clearing out the wave at the bottom side. And like I was mentioning, we do see the item differences starting to show already. BB having that Blade of the Ruin King completed, so he's able to kite more effectively as compared to Archie because he has only the BF shot completed on his own end.
So I think QTV didn't really need to use his ghost in that situation to get away from the gank coming in. Ragnarok was more than enough to stop the crowd control and also give him some distance away from the Azubu Taipei Assassins gank that was coming in from Dinter. And now a lot of the Azubu TPA are poised around this top lane tower. The last outer turret for TPA to take down. Dinter charging into QTV, but not do anything else besides punch him in the face for a little bit.
Right, it's just to deter him away from the turret range. And Saigon Jokers, they have to respond to this quickly because if not, they will just drop their top lane turret for free.
See, Safety, QTV, and Junior are all up in the top lane. Gragas, played by Morning for Azubu Taipei Assassins, is trying to group up with the rest of the team. He's actually going to engage onto Optimus. He's going to take him down so low as well.
Right, so Optimus is not going to go down the process, but Saigon Jokers, they did not answer to Taipei Assassins at all. So Taipei Assassins effectively taking it out for free, but they did leave Archie to kind of re-farm by himself. So he might be able to take out this turret in the process, but like we mentioned, he only has that BF sword completed. But with the wave, he might be able to do it, but Archie on Jax is slowly moving back into this one.
So that Archie did use that culling to clear out one of the minion waves, so he should be able to take down this tower with relative ease. He will even up the turret score there. Optimus unfortunately had to flash over the wall to get away, so he did burn his flash to get away from Morning Player. Nice, capitalizing on Optimus rotating out to help out his team. SAJ were not able to defend that outer turret, but they are still 3 turrets to 2 against the Azubu Taipei Assassins as QTV might get caught out here.
Right, so now BB going into the fray, and there we go, the final hour being popped by BB as well, so he has the extra movement speed to catch up to QTV, flashing into the way, and having that Blade of the Ring King procced as well. There is no way out for QTV out of that one, so 1 kill being secured for Taipei Assassins at this point of time, and you know, Azubu Taipei Assassins once again grouping up into the jungle and having this aggressive push and taking away the blue buff as well, so that will deny Optimus off his blue buff, and that is gonna hurt him quite a fair bit.
And that's where QTV really needed his ghost. Vayne is very good at chasing people down. If you see Archie jumps onto Archie here, Safety's gonna try and come in and help.
right? And the Ignite getting picked on there, and the barrel will save his life. There's safety now jumping onto Archie with the help of the whip buff. Does look like Archie might go down in the process, and the last auto attack will secure that kill for him. So 2-1 in terms of kill count. So even though 40 minutes it is still relatively safe and relatively quiet, we start to see the aggression from both teams. They are just going in onto this one now. They are showing their aggression. They want to pick up kills and then secure objectives after that. But meanwhile, with the Dragon's advantage and not the kill advantage, but with the Dragon advantage, now Taipei Assassins are sitting at a slowly but steadily building up 800 goal advantage.
So we saw there, once again, he plays Jax so well. He knows that champion in and out. He was almost able to duel out both Safety and Archie one after the other. Good play coming in from Saigon Jokers to split the damage out, so to speak, so that Archie took a lot of damage to start off, backed off away from the fight, then Safety came in and then finished off Archie on Jax, but still it was very close. Those two champions only lived with a sliver of health. That just shows how experienced Archie is on Jax up in the top lane. Very happy to see him playing him once again. He's been playing him consistently in the Greener Premier League so far, one of the few players to do so.
Right, and I like this item difference that Jay has decided to pick up over Junie, because Junie has opted to go for that early side stone so that it will maximize the goal advantage. But for Jay, this time around, he has opted to go for that early Talisman of Ascension, as well as we do see Morning getting jumped on here, but he will be safe having the explosive cast on his end.
Since QTP pulling out Dinter a little bit, not allowing the Pilt over police officer to get any damage down onto him. Now Saigon Jokers are grouped up as 5, something we did not see them do last game. We can actually jump in onto Kama here. The shockwave comes out, it's taken out so fast.
And that was a instantaneous gang with all these skill shots just landing onto Jay, so they're not too afraid to throw everything onto him, and now Junior has to back off from that one, but they did manage to dive Jay right behind the turret, and now Archie jumps into the fray, and Junie will lock him in. Raise with the death sentence as well. Junie will live out from that one. Optimus will pick up that kill for himself. 4-1 in terms of kill count now, and does look like Saigon Jokers, they will have the numbers advantage to pick up the Dragon, so slowly pulling themselves back into this game, and I think with this Dragon pickup, they will have the goal advantage.
So this is the Saigon Jokers that the Saigon Jokers need to pull out last game. They're being aggressive, they're grouping up as 5, they're taking objectives slowly and not allowing Azubu Taipei Assassins to push them over and slowly grab the objectives of their own. We saw in that team fight they were able to pick up 2 people, and also Archie almost was able to pick off Dinter by himself.
That's right, so very, weird position for Taipei Assassins to be in, and Dinter, he was unable to respond to that because Archie was able to bring him down with the calling to such a low percentage of HP. And it does look like Taipei Assassins, they want to respond to this. They are not too contented with what happened. But with the wave clear potential coming out from Saigon Jokers, they will just be able to deter that away. And now Safety will back off with the, repel and the Dark Passage combination.
So Azubu Taipei Assassins, what they really need to do now is they've shown that they can split up and split push effectively. They need to continue doing what they did last game. Split up, take objectives slowly, and not allow the Saigon Jokers to force fights, because Saigon Jokers just showed that they have the capabilities to force the fights that they want. As you see Morning once again going from the side of the team, so to speak. We might see Archie clear out this top lane as we see the other Archie on Jax clear out the bottom lane as well. And probably we'll see these two teams group up for another fight. Wouldn't be surprised if they both try to do so.
Right, and the surprising thing for this time around is that QTV is much more aggressive than Dinter in this matchup. We have not seen Dinter actually pop the assault advantage just yet, and QTV now having that 202 kill advantage. This time around we do see. I feel like QTV having that some fire kit on his own end, he will be able to kind of soak up damage for Saigon Jokers quite effectively. And for Safety now, he is the aggressor with the 202 advantage, and having that Ancient Golem complete on himself, he will be able to tank alongside QTV as well.
So far, game's been fairly even between the two teams, but Saigon Jokers have been the ones that have been looking impressive in this game so far. Azubu Taipei Assassins are keeping even in terms of their minion score and also the slight objectives that they've picked up here and there, but Saigon Jokers are keeping even because they have been making the plays they need to make against Azubu Taipei Assassins, being aggressive when they need to and then passive when they need to as well. Death Sentence just misses from Junie. Gonna try and stop Dinner from jumping the wall, not able to do so though.
Right, once again, a small misplay from Junie there. And I think that if Taipei Assassins keep this up, keep this pace of gameplay, so even though they are down by one turret and Saigon Jokers might want to collapse onto them in this mid lane turret as well, if they are able to drag this out long enough between both Archie and BB, they do still have the harder late game team composition. And now we do see Archie on Jack getting caught right into the fray. The explosive cast is not quite enough to deter away, but he is able to pick up Jay in the, sorry, not Jay, Junie in the meantime. So far it is still a 1-for-1 trade. But Saigon Jokers, they are going to collapse onto this mid lane turret. Jay will go down to the calling. Actually, it's Optimus that takes the one up. And BB will collapse in with the final hour. Dinter jumps into the frame with the assault and battery and gets knocked right back in Optimus. And he did not go down in the exchange as well. So BB will pick one up onto Optimus actually. And Morning will go down as well. So somewhat a very messy team fight. But overall, a great trade for Saigon Jokers because Optimus was the only one who went down in the process. No, actually it was 2 for 3. Yeah, Junie went down the process, but they still have the numbers game in this one, and they might actually look to take out this mid lane turret.
So this surprises me so much. This is Saigon Jokers grouping up and securing team fights and objectives, what they did not do at all last game. It just shows they are able to do so. I'm not sure why they chose not to, but still, Azubu Taipei Assassins able to keep even despite Saigon Jokers looking like the team that is putting the pressure onto Azubu Taipei Assassins in this game. The fact that Azubu TPA are keeping even despite being down in objectives kills means that their minion score must be fantastic going up against Azubu Taipei Assassins. And also, that means that one good play from Azubu TPA or one misplay coming from Saigon Jokers could completely turn the tides of this game. And also, it also means that SAJ need to continue making the plays, because if they stop, Azubu TPA will slowly creep up and start to close in on that goal score.
Right, and speaking about plays, we do see Junie just catching Morning off guard with the death sentence, and Archie will be able to secure that kill for himself, and the amount of burst damage was too much for Morning to handle. As we do see now Junie chasing on to Jay here, but with the mobility that Jay has, it's quite difficult for him to left the death sentence there. But overall, still a 1-for-0 trade there, and with the numbers advantage in this one, they might be looking to take out this mid lane turret soon.
This is a different Junie from last game as well. He's been landing so many fantastic death sentences and creating so many opportunities for his team to escape, secure kills, and lock down individual key targets of the Azubu Taipei Assassins during team fights. He's been able to shut down Archie whenever he jumps in with his leech strike as well. They were able to pick up the first inhibitor of the game, and most competitive games, the team to pick up the first inhibitor is normally the team that goes on to win the game. But in Saigon Jokers are looking strong in game 2 of this best of 5.
They are looking very strong indeed. 3,000 goal advantage, and they are looking to pick out this bot lane turret as well. And I think they recognize for the fact that, you know, Taipei Assassins, they have a very terrifying late game, and now we do see BB getting caught out with the death sentence, has to cleanse that away immediately, and popping the final hour as well. So I think knowing that the ultimate is down, it might be Saigon Jokers' call to go in onto this one.
Junie has on those death sentences. He hit death sentences that just look like will not hit, will have no possible way of hitting the opposition. He's been playing very well on Thresh. He's been helping out the Saigon Jokers continue to catch Azubu TPA off guard, and it's, as I said before, what they really need to do, because if they don't, Azubu TPA will slowly catch up, just because they're maintaining an almost even gold lead without making plays themselves, and despite SAJ continually forcing team fights and picking up objectives.
Right, it does look like Junie this time around has channeled the hooker in himself to kind of make sure that this plays happen for Saigon Jokers, and QTV just right around the back, trying to make something happen with the axis as well. So it's a very slow but steady siege coming in from Saigon Jokers, and with Archie defending in the mid lane, it feels like Saigon Jokers might want to go in with the numbers advantage.
They would have to do so. Jax would not mind picking up that free farm, but also SAJ making a smart move to pick up yet another objective. The top lane for the Saigon Jokers is pushing as well. Archie's going to get some good damage down onto Morning. We might see a T5 take place.
Right, and does look like Morning will be caught out once again by the death sentence, and Optimus will pick up that kill for himself. 3-1-6 already. He is having a fantastic time this game. And, you know, Saigon Jokers making full use of their pseudo pick composition like we were talking about earlier. And now QTV jumping right back into the fray, and the combination of the shockwave and death sentence. I think that was an amazing moment for Saigon Jokers right there. I never thought it was possible.
Junie is pretty much psychic. That was another impossible sentence that he just landed onto Azubu Taipei Assassins. SAJ.
Right, does look like Jay will be taken down to less than a quarter of his HP. He wants to make something happen now, but he will decide to back off from there. A wiser decision out of the both. But, you know, they have to respond to this. Saigon Jokers slowly taking out the turrets on their end. The first Nexus turrets go down. Will they actually stick around to push for the second one? But eventually they chose to just back off with the Talisman of Ascension as well. Very smart decision from them, but they have definitely taken a whole lot away from Taipei Assassins just from that one exchange. So now they are sitting at a 11-3 kill advantage and having a good close to 7,000 gold lead and 8-2 in terms of turrets. They are looking fantastic in game number 2.
And I keep going on and on about this, but we saw last game Azubu TPA just never really very quickly of that fight. And we're gonna see, look at Junie. Face coming off that command shockwave. Gonna pull him back in, flame him back in, and QTV's gonna absolutely decimate him. I've been saying this the whole game. Last game, Azubu TPA, they took small objectives and small leads combined with this good minion score that they've been maintaining above Saigon Jokers in both games. They've been consistently getting ahead in terms of gold. But this game, SAJ continually make plays against Azubu Taipei Assassins, force them out of their comfort zone, and with that, it's allowed them to get significantly ahead of Azubu Taipei Assassins.
Right now, Julie is the only one around away from the barricade, and Jay will actually go down to Optimus in process, but BB was not able to pick up the kill onto Junie in the meantime, and it does look like safety will pick up the Baron buff for Saigon Jokers in the meantime, and having the Baron buff, it might be the advantage, but they're looking for it. Optimus now has to flash away from BB, and look at the amount of burst damage Optimus put out, but not before he goes down to Morning in the meanwhile. So a 1-for-1 exchange, but Saigon Jokers still coming up ahead because they have now secured the Baron buff and the Baron gold in their pockets.
SAJ looks so strong in this game against Azubu Taipei Assassins. That really shows what we were saying before the first game, how right now the games between Azubu TPA and Saigon Jokers in the competitive scene are completely even. TPA have won 2 games in the Green and Premier League, while SAJ have won 2 games against Azubu Taipei Assassins in the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. And in the playoffs, the semi-finals of the Green and Premier League between these two teams, it looks like it's going to go 1-1. I mean, it's just because SAJ have just looked so dominating in this game against the Azubu Taipei Assassins. However, still have the chance to even out this game against Saigon Jokers and make it a 2. Because consistently, both in the first game and second game, consistently passive, consistently taking objectives, just that they need to stop the flow of the Saigon Jokers, stop allowing them to force plays and force fights against Azubu TPA and continue doing what they were doing before. Slowly take the objectives they want and not allow SAJ to bully them around.
Right, and with the changes to 3 from 1-4 as well, if they're able to kind of hold it out long enough, then I would say, you know, past 30 or even the 40-minute mark, then definitely they will have the advantage. But I think right at this point of time, Saigon Jokers, they recognize the fact and they're not, you know, too persistent, and it does look like QTV, they will join the fray now, and with the Ragnarok pop as well, just scaring everyone away from Taipei Assassins. They will pick out the mid lane inhibitor, and they're turning their focus onto top lane now.
So remember that Saigon Jokers do so they have a ton of regeneration, attack damage, and ability power as well to work with in the siege that they've been creating.
Right, so it's a, you know, smart decision from them. They need to constantly apply all this pressure, and having that Baron buff as well. They just need to make full use of it, and just look like the inner turret for the top lane for Taipei Assassins will go down in the process. And having 9 turrets in their under their belt now, it is a very dominating position for Saigon Jokers at this point of time.
It's a nice minion wave for the Saigon Jokers to be pushing on as well. The tower is getting decimated by the Saigon Jokers. It looks like Azubu TPA, they popped They popped the Solari. I'm going to try and engage onto the Saigon Jokers, but we're not able to do so. But they're still able to take down this final inhibitor turret. The inhibitor on the bottom lane of the Azubu Taipei Assassins is going so low, but they're going to see a fight here.
Right, and Judy now hooking now Morning back into play, and with the flare as well, it does look like QTV will soak up some damage, and Archie taking down Archie in the meantime. Morning will take out Optimus, but at this point of time, Saigon Joker still has that bounce advantage, and BB has to flash, and once again finding the block onto Morning, and Safety will pick up one more kill for himself. So in the end, it was a 1-for-2 exchange, but the top lane inhibitor has gone down, and now Saigon Jokers making full work onto this Nexus turret, and BB now getting caught in, and even with the glance out of the way, he's not able to negate away the crowd control coming in from Saigon Jokers, and Saigon Jokers now bring it back to equal ground with 1-1, and as they win over game number 2.
I have a